I was a delivery driver for Domino's, and Cameron was actually my boss. So my partner was my boss at the time. And now,
I mean, 28,000 in sales in a month is no joke, right? Especially for someone at your age.
we have 18-foot back wall, and we have 12 feet coming out on the sides for staging. And then we have, of course, great lighting. Try to do a neutral color for the background, and we get some.
They graduate and they're actually not making that much money, right? Unless you have one of these like engineering or professional type jobs like lawyer, management consultant. I think it's very, very hard for your average American.
I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, like I want these high profit margins. I want to be able to make as much profit as I can.
Welcome to another episode of The Couch Pod, where we believe that the American dream is not dead, but it is different. In today's society, it's very hard for middle-class Americans to get ahead simply by working for someone else. But it doesn't mean that opportunity is not out there for those that are willing to work hard and take risks. And that's what we explore on this podcast. We bring on guest couch flippers who are already in the game, making money, hustling hard to break down the secrets to their success. If you're interested in learning more about how you can implement these tactics within your own life, to generate new streams of income, just click the link in the description below. We'll connect you to a community of couch flippers, people that are already making money, and give you the resources and technology that you need to succeed. On today's podcast, I'm joined by Brian Martin, one of the co-founders of Busta Boys Furniture out in Lancaster area, Pennsylvania. Him and his partner have built an impressive couch flipping operation in just a short period of time. Brian, thank you so much for coming on the pod today.
Yeah, of course, not a problem.
So why don't you take us back and tell us, what got you started? How'd you learn about couch flipping and, just the story of how you got here today?
So, I mean, whenever I first started, of course, I'm only 21. So I started a few years back. I was in 10th grade at the time. I think I was 17. So I just, were able to drive. And so I saw couch flipping from Ryan Pineda on YouTube. And so, yeah, he hooked me up and, I started flipping one couch a month. And it really just took to this last year where I was like, you know what? I want to quit my 9 to 5. And I started doing it full time. And here I am in a bigger warehouse. And yeah.
That's cool. And so what were you doing in your 9 to 5 job before this?
So I was a delivery driver for Domino's, and Cameron was actually my boss. So my partner was my boss at the time. And now I'm the boss of him.
That's cool. And how'd you guys get together? Once you quit and started doing the couch flipping full time, you gave him a call. I was like, hey, Cameron, I got an opportunity for you.
So I remember the reason why we actually started is because the person I was doing it with before, he had to go to college. I wasn't trying to go that route. So yeah, Cameron, as my boss, it was really slow one day at Domino's. And I remember asking him, he was just sitting there. We were both just sitting there. And I remember being like, hey man, I know that you've been talking about he was always into the business aspect. And I was like, well, here, look, I have this furniture, picking up couches and selling them for like $300, $400 profit. And he seemed very interested, motivated. And from there, yeah, we just started getting into it. And that's really how it started.
And if you could reflect back, how much money were you making working your 9 to 5 at Domino's back in the day?
So, honestly, for being, a 19-year-old, it was a great income. I was making like $3,200, which is, and most of it, and probably like $400, $600 a week were under the table, so it was pretty solid just because, tips and stuff like that. Yeah. So, I was making about $3,400
a month.
Well, that was only Domino's though. With the couch flipping, I was probably starting to make a little bit more, but
I see. And then what about Cameron? He was your manager, right? I'm guessing maybe a little bit older as well.
It's funny because, so he's actually a little younger than me, which is funny. But yeah, so yeah, he wasn't actually making much more money than me because delivery drivers just make a lot. They make too much for what they do, to be honest. But yeah, he was probably making $4,200, but he was working like 60-hour weeks compared to my 40.
I see. And more responsibility as well, managing people and then more time put into the job.
Definitely.
And, now you're 21 years old. And how much money are you making today?
So, this past month we did 28 grand in sales. So, it's not anything too crazy, but yeah, it's pretty solid. That's why we're really just looking to keep growing. For me, just since we started this past August, it has come a long way. So
yeah, 28,000 in sales in a month is no joke, right? Especially for someone at your age to be putting up those kinds of numbers. And not to mention you have equity upside in the business that you're building.
Yeah, that is true.
And if you compare that to what you used to be making working at Domino's, it's pretty much night and day, right? You're making 2-3 times as much money at least.
And not only that, but I'm also, like you were saying, is building equity, and I'm building like something where I'm learning way more than what I was doing. As hands-on is just like I control what I can do, like how much I make. It's insane. It really is.
Yeah, I bet if you compare what you're doing today, like to some of the peers that you went to school with, like tell me about like some of the guys that you went to high school with. Like, what are they up to now? Are they in school? Are they?
It is actually funny because, I was very not popular, but I was just like, I knew a lot of people in high school is what I'm trying to say. And so I know a lot of them, most of them are going to college. They're going around, whether it's just United States or they're going out around, just different countries and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting here thinking, why would you be doing that when you could be doing that like not even 20 years, 10 years from now, whenever you actually have that income or like that cash flow already created. So that's really what I'm trying to do is do what they're doing now in the future, not the college aspect, but the traveling aspect. But yeah, I mean, I know someone, they work at T-Mobile. Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's looked up to me personally just because, business owner and he wants to be the same thing down the line. Other than him, though, there's really not many other people from high school where they're successful in doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, especially in such a short time frame, right? I think it takes many people years and years to figure out what they want to be doing and be able to make a significant amount of money doing that as well. So you're off to a really good start. And when I think about your average 21-year-old, they go to college, they graduate at around this age, and then they're saddled out of the gate with six figures in debt, right? Maybe a little bit less, but it's a substantial chunk of debt. And then they graduate and they're actually not making that much money, right? Unless you have one of these like engineering or professional type jobs like lawyer, management consultant. I think it's very, very hard for your average American to come straight out of college and do well, especially with how expensive things are lately.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I was a math major in college. I went 1 year and I decided because I was just like, why am I doing this? I'm not making any cash flow. I'm not doing what I want to do. And I dropped out instantly whenever I started making like more money. I just, became more motivated because of it too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you don't have any credentials to lean on. The only way that you're going to pay the bills and be successful is based on the merits of your own actions. So I can definitely relate to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, I'm from Pennsylvania too. I'm from Allentown, Pennsylvania. We've talked about this before. So not too far off from, where you live in. Yeah. You're not in Lancaster specifically, right? You're like close to that area though.
So yeah, I mean, I know a couple couch flippers that are out in Lancaster, but I'm in Mechanicsburg. So like near Harrisburg, right in like Harrisburg area. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I've driven out to Harrisburg and Mechanicsburg, and honestly, like depending on the neighborhood that you go to, it's kind of sad, right? Like the lack of development, the lack of energy for a young person in one of these cities, like it can feel like there isn't a lot of opportunity out there for you.
Yep. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, especially in Harrisburg specifically, it gets more into the, not very, definitely more sad, like how you're saying, but it's just hard to see. It really is unfortunate, but
Right. People, they work at, Domino's, they work at Walgreens, maybe they work at an Amazon warehouse, and they're making
the corner smoke shop,
corner smoke shop selling vapes, and, they're making just enough money to get by and pay the bills. Maybe, sometimes a little bit short as well. And it's impossible to get ahead, right? Like, let's say you're making $3,000, $4,000 a month. After tax, that's $2,500. You're going to pay at least $1,000 in rent. After food and gas and insurance, your auto bill, there's really nothing left. So how does someone who's working full time in that situation get ahead? You have to have a side hustle. You have to be making some money on the side. And that's why, we're so passionate about what we do at Ivy Flip, teaching people how to flip, how to make money, how to get themselves in a better situation financially, and really start pursuing the life that they deserve.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that personally, as soon as I started getting in touch with you definitely brought a whole community to me that I wasn't fully aware of, I didn't know that existed until I met you. And I remember I forget exactly how I saw it. I think a random ad popped up for Ivy Flips. I looked at the app store and I was like, dude, these ratings kind of suck. Anyways, I downloaded it and I was like, dang, wait, this is actually kind of crazy. Why are these ratings so bad? I was just sitting there like, wait, why are the ratings bad? Because it was like 1.5 stars at the time. And I downloaded the app and you gave me that free trial. And I was like, wait, why would no one use this? I was like, why do people hate against this? I understand that it was like maybe in developmental stages or whatever, but yeah, I mean, I know it's come a long way as well. And it's definitely helped me out a lot.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of reasons for the negative ratings at first. When we came into the couch flipping world 2.5 years ago, we were definitely seen as an outsider. And I think over time, like we've earned our spot in our community. people understand what we're about, what we're trying to accomplish much, much better now. And so I think there's definitely some negative reaction that we got from people early on.
Okay, got you.
But also last year, we had a swath of competitors come out with similar, at least sourcing applications. They don't rival us in terms of the other capabilities that we offer, like the mastermind, the podcast, the community that we've created, the new sources of inventory where we connect you directly to retailers who are looking to liquidate or sell returns. They don't do any of that, not to mention the listing manager where we help you, publish on multiple marketplaces. But at least on the sourcing side, we do have competitors. And I don't have the direct evidence of this, but around the time when these guys came out, we started getting flooded with negative reviews as well. So take that for what you will. But I appreciate you saying that. We have worked very hard to try and provide a quality product and service. So it means a lot that we've been able to help you and you're willing to speak positively about that.
Oh, 100%.
So you've come a long way in just a short period of time. I think, we connected, I think it was like August or September of last year. So not that long ago. And I've seen you make an incredible transformation in that period of time. Like you moved out of the storage unit, you're in the warehouse, your numbers are higher than ever. So can you tell us about that journey that you've gone through scaling up the business to where you are today?
Hey, flippers, are you still managing your reselling business the old-fashioned way? In today's fast-paced market, leveraging technology isn't just an advantage, it's a game changer. That's why we created Ivy Flip, the ultimate app designed to supercharge your reselling business. With Ivy Flip, you can effortlessly source products from Facebook, OfferUp, and Craigslist, all from one easy-to-use platform. Say goodbye to missed opportunities and hello to instant notifications when great deals are posted. Our cross-posting feature lets you list your items on multiple marketplaces with a single click, maximizing your exposure and sales potential. Plus, our AI-powered scam detection ensures you spend your time on genuine listings, not fake ones. Don't let outdated methods hold you back. Embrace the power of technology with Ivy Flip and put your reselling business ahead of the competition. Click the link in the description and get a 1-week free trial of our app now.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that. So whenever we were started, of course, I was talking about high school flipping one couch a month or whatever. As soon as I got out of Domino's, but we started getting storage shed. Storage shed is crazy. Storage unit was the biggest investment I ever made. Even compared to the warehouse now, even though I'm paying 10 times, 15 times as much, it was, it's just insane that was my biggest investment. Yeah, so I mean, I started paying like $280 a month, and at the time I was like, why am I doing this? But then I started getting, 5, 6 couches in there at a time, and have them all listed. I got the mighty steamer, steam cleaner. That thing helps out a lot. All these small investments that kept building up into bigger investments. It's kind of like upgrades. I was actually just talking to my buddies that helped me out. It's like video game, you make these small upgrades that cost a little bit amount of money, and you slowly get higher and higher, you know what I mean? And they slowly become more expensive, but they have a larger impact. Yeah. So basically, yeah, I mean, we started with 1 storage shed, then we jumped to 2, 3. And as soon as we do 3, we're like, why are we spending money on 3 storage sheds? We started running out of warehouse literally a month later. We were at the time in 1,500 square feet. We then ended up completely filling that up real quick. So we ended up getting another 1,800 square foot warehouse. It's all attached. So yeah, we now have, I think, 3,300. That's what that would be, square foot. Yeah. And then where we're at right now, like I was saying, we're about making 28 grand a month in sales. Yeah. So we're about to buy a warehouse that's 10,000 square foot. So that's definitely exciting.
Oh shit. Okay. I didn't know about the 10,000 square foot warehouse. That's a really big jump. Yeah. So the current operation, you have about 1,800 square feet in warehouse space and then 3 storage units, and these are adjoined.
So no, my bad. So basically, what we did was we jumped into a 1,500 square foot warehouse that was in one side. The other side opened up to an 1,800 square foot and then we ended up running out both. So as soon as we got the other warehouse, we completely stopped doing storage units.
I see. So you have 2 warehouses that are right next to each other currently.
Yes.
And how do you have that laid out? Do you have like one warehouse you do your storage and cleaning and staging, and the other kind of functions as a showroom? Like, break that down.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Yes. We have one side where we do the cleaning. That's all of our dirty couches. We also have our staging. We actually completely redid it. So we did the drywall ourselves. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, yeah, so we have 18-foot back wall, and we have 12 feet coming out on the sides for staging. And then we have, of course, great lighting. Tried to do a neutral color for the background, and we get some really great pictures because that's obviously a big aspect of the game. And then the other side is just a complete showroom. It's just 1,800 square foot showroom.
So currently, with your 3,300 square foot setup, how much are you paying in rent?
So I'm actually paying way more than what I should be. I'm paying about $3,750. So I'm paying $37.50 a month right now for this.
Got it. So about $1.20 per square foot, something like $1.15 per square foot.
Yep.
And then what about the location? And, tell me a little bit more about the setup.
So of course, like I said, that we're in Mechanicsburg. So I mean, we have a lot of people like locally that come by. I mean, honestly, whenever we had our sign blew away. It's been so windy around here. I don't know if it's been like that for you, but yeah, we had people just like stop in, or like people that would come back and be like, oh, is this Busta Boys? Or, because we're actually right out front. There's a smoke shop, all that kind of stuff. So people will come back around back and they'll be like, oh, you guys do furniture around here? And then we'll be like, yeah, we have a showroom. We're very thorough with what we clean, or, how we clean, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's not really much to it other than, we have a ramp right up to our storage unit to make it obvious, or not storage, warehouse, just to make it easier for us to get in and out. But
cool. And one question I did have, I forgot to ask earlier, is you have a really interesting name, Busta Boys Furniture. Like, what was the thought process for that? Was it like an inside joke? And yeah.
Yeah. So, Cameron and I, like I said, we started at Domino's or whatever, but I was always into older rap. And I remember we were creating our LLC. We sat there for probably like 20, 30 minutes. This is the longest we sat on a question. And we just sat there just rambling, just naming them off. And we got to Bargain Boys or something like that, Bargain Busters. And I was like, I don't want to have some like cheap name. I want it to be like something that would be unique and something I would be named by. It doesn't, like Lazy Boy or whatever, but there's just no correlation with Lazy Boy. But so anyways, so what happened is I started thinking of like Busta Rhymes, Busta Rhymes. Yeah. So, and I was like, all right, well, what about Busta Boys, and that's really how we came to what the Busta Boys name.
That's cool. And do you think that, like, how do you think that has led to you being perceived by your customers? Like, are you guys like the young Gen Z, like fun brand, or like, yeah, how does that being received?
So, I get in the comments all the time, or like in our reviews, they'll be like, all these young fellas, or like they're old school kind of delivery guys, or, they'll say all this kind of thing. And all these kind of things about what we do. And I think Busta Boys, first of all, it's a catchy name. I feel like if you see it, very hard to forget. And if you forget a little bit of it, you're going to remember something. As soon as you see it, you're going to remember it, So yeah, that definitely has something to do with it. But otherwise, yeah, I guess people do see us as more like jumpy, kind of like fun style. But as soon as they come in, they say that we are professional, whenever we need to be, but we also incorporate, well, like really just whatever seems right at the time.
Yeah, I think that would be the fear of a lot of people choosing a name like that. It's a little bit avant-garde and they may be perceived as unprofessional, but as long as you back it up in the right way, it is memorable and it's easy to remember and can definitely help you stay top of mind with your customers.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my biggest worries at the beginning, but I think it's paid off and I think I'm all for it. I haven't even thought about it since then, so.
All right, perfect. So tell me about this transition to the 10,000 square foot warehouse.
So, obviously, so we're going to be actually buying the building. So, we're going to be doing a lease option to buy within 3 years. So we're actually going to be paying less monthly than what we are here. So that's just insane to me, first of all. But the most unfortunate thing is, like I was saying, is that we just did our showroom, the staging area. So yeah, we have to take that all down. We have to do that over there and it costs about like $1,500. Not that big of a deal, but it's still just about the time, really. Yeah, as of right now, there's not much to it other than just like a lot of paperwork, a lot of waiting.
And 10,000 square foot, that's pretty scalable for the future. You can run a 7-figure revenue business out of a 10,000 square foot warehouse. It's quite, it'll fit a ton of couches for sure. But like, why the move to buy the building? This is not a move I've seen very often in the customers that we work with.
So the biggest thing to me is, first of all, it's a crazy tax write-off to be able to buy it, depreciation, all that kind of stuff. Second of all, it has an apartment attached to it. So I'm making rent off an apartment, I'm starting to create different ways of cash flow. See, I'm kind of like looking at it as not only an investment for my business, but an investment towards myself, to where if I were to either choose something else or want to cut half that warehouse off and, limit 3,000 space to myself in some way to do something else, I can. I have a lot of different options. I can even lease out some of that space if I want to, which I probably will the first year, just to be able to I might even spend $0 the first year if I can rent that out. I'm going to be spending $0. I might even be making money just because that apartment as well. So yeah, it's really just about, just like having the different options.
It's multi-use building, commercial and residential.
Yes. Yep.
Interesting. And so when you say 10,000 square feet, is that just the warehouse component or is that inclusive of the apartment space?
It's 10,500 square foot, just the warehouse. warehouse.
Wow. Okay. So what is the total square footage of the complex?
I don't even know, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. But the apartment is not more than like 1,000 square feet.
Got it. So it's a single apartment and a warehouse.
Yeah.
Got it. And are there currently tenants, or what's happening in the building today?
So I mean, yeah, there are current tenants, and whenever I'll be doing the lease option to buy, they gave me or they wanted me to collect the rent because I'm still making principal payments and interest in principal payments to the mortgage. Yeah, so I mean, that's really what all it is I'm paying the mortgage and insurance and all that kind of stuff, but I'm collecting the rents from the tenants. And there's also 2 storage units on there that are being rented out right now too.
Amazing. So the property is already cash flowing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. I think this is a strategy that more people should look into, because if you have the liquidity or if you have the access to capital, why not look into owning the property that you're operating out of, right? And this also prevents, landlord conflicts in the future, right? You're your own landlord. Let's say you put all this work into renovating and turning a space into your own, and then your lease ends and the landlord wants to jack up the rent on you. There's nothing, you really don't have recourse, right? Other than just having a good relationship with your landlord. So how are you structuring the deal? Are you Brian Martin signing the mortgage and this is going to be like property that you own, or are you bringing it in under the umbrella of your corporation?
That's what you're saying. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to be, whenever I actually purchase the house, as I said, we're doing the lease option at first, or lease with the option to buy. So I'm going to be putting the lease under the business. And whenever I go to actually buy it, I'm going to be putting the deed or like the actual name under. I'm going to create a separate LLC to not tie up any assets with Busta Boys, just in case anything were to happen. And, from there, I'm going to be putting that warehouse in that separate LLC, and which is also something I plan on doing if I get a large enough fleet for, with vehicles and stuff like that. But yeah.
Got it. So setting up a separate corporation and then renting out the commercial space to Busta Boys.
Yes. Yep.
What is the total sale value of the property, and what is the monthly payment look like?
So what I'm buying it for $750,000. Previously, I think it was like $650. I think it was $630, something like that. But yeah, so they jacked it up a little bit, but I kind of understand in a way, just because, first of all, the market's been crazy. I know you've probably seen it. It's insane. Yeah, and then I don't really know exactly why it is what it is. But anyways, yeah, so I mean, I saw it because I was looking around. I could not find anything in that price range. And she told me, oh, $750,000. I was like, that's insane, And also the other thing is seller financing is a huge, huge deal for me, because what bank is going to approve? Because I write off a lot on my taxes. We're always upgrading. We're showing I think we only showed like 20,000 profit this past year, which is insane. We're always doing upgrades and stuff like that. But yeah, so seller financing was great. And we're paying 7.5 interest rate, which isn't bad for seller financing. I'm not sure how, much you know about that, but so it would be about $5,700 a month. But with the rents that we're collecting, it's going to be about $1,800. Then if I start leasing out some other space, that is going to knock off. I mean, depending on how much space I, lease out, I can knock off at least $3,000. From what I'm paying right now, $3,750.
Right. So because the business is cash flowing and there's seller financing, you're able to get this at a pretty good deal. There is risk. I mean, you're still on the hook for that full payment if tenants fall through or rent can't be collected. But you make money in the business anyway. So just through profits in the business, you should be able to cover the additional expense.
Yeah. And I mean, realistically, even if I were to have to pay the $5,800, it's not a problem. But, if I were to, if everything goes to plan, then of course that knocks off $1,800. And then if I run out some other space, then I'm paying less than what I am right now.
Very cool. And how do you expect moving into this larger warehouse to impact the business?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is, obviously it's closer to my house. I don't know if you know, but I actually live in Carlisle. So we're moving over to Carlisle here. The second thing is, so it's a 5,000 square foot room. I know that with the 1,800 square foot showroom that I have, people are having to maneuver, it's a little tight. We just have way too many couches to be able to fit in an 1,800 square foot space. So that 5,000 square foot room is going to do us, very well. We're going to be able to fit a lot more couches. We're going to have different styles. And also the other thing is that we've been looking into brand new stuff, getting deals. Well, I know that you guys do the, the whole liquidation kind of stuff, but yeah, so we got some brand new couches we've been testing out, and it's been actually turning out pretty well. But yeah, so I want to have one side pre-owned, one side brand new, maybe even make some liquidation in there, whatever, So yeah, I mean, the 5,000 square foot building space is the biggest thing for me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about like actual couch flipping part of the business. So you did $28,000 in the past 30 days. How many sales did that come out to roughly?
Would have been about 45. I don't have the exact number on me, but it would have been about 45 because our average sale price is around that $600, $700.
Got it. And how are you keeping track of your numbers today? Are you using the Ivy Flip sales tracker or your spreadsheet, something like that?
So I actually don't really do anything myself. I pay an accountant to do it. My sister-in-law happens to be an accountant. And so all I do is I input, I have, what are those called? Like the Google response sheet, something like that. I have one for expenses and one for my inventory. And all I have to do is put it in there and then she keeps track of everything else. She keeps me up to date with profit loss statements and stuff like that.
There you go. I think you must have like really good advisors around you because, the execution in your business for a 21-year-old and just like the professionalism with which you're operating is very good. It's very high.
Dude, I am telling you, it is all because of people you know. I have a lawyer as an aunt and uncle. They told me exactly what to do every time. They were like, all right, so if you, like with employee wise, whenever it comes to buying the building, it all comes down to people and it all just comes down to, being a nice person, honestly. But
so the 45 couches you did last month, is that just between you and Cameron, or do you have help or do you also have help?
That's just me and Cameron. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like do you have like cleaners or drivers that you're hiring out, or is 45 flips just between you two?
So, I do actually have someone that helps me out here and there. Riley, he's here, I think probably like 2 days a week. He goes to college. So, but yeah, he helps me out. He probably works for like 6 to 8 hours. The main reason is because Cameron actually works at Domino still. So, I just need someone else to be there whenever he's not here, stuff like that.
Got it. And how is the ownership or equity in the business structured? Like, do you own like the majority of the company? Like Cameron's your business partner, Riley's the help. Like, break that down for me.
So yeah, legally, so I'm not actually buying him out, but yeah, so I'm gonna be the business owner. But yeah, it makes sense. We can go into that later. Yeah, so basically, I'm majority owner right now. Cameron is, minority owner, whatever. He has less shares than I do, less than 50%. And Riley, we just pay an hourly wage. And yeah, that's just how it is since he's only working a couple days a week.
So how did you decide on that equity split to begin with? I guess it was because you had started and you brought Cameron on after, and the corporation has already spun up, and you're like, I need a partner in this. Like, here's some allocation of shares. Like, so explain how you arrived at that decision, and then, why the buyout is happening now.
So, the biggest thing obviously is the reason why it would be 50, like over 50% for me is because I was using my money to buy the couches every time. I was using my money to pay gas. I was using my car. Honestly, it just didn't ever make sense to have him be an owner, to be honest. So that's really the reason why we're switching it. And it's just like how it is. It's just like, we're using my money, my stuff. Like if he's only providing like time, like, it's just being like kind of without being, I don't want to be disrespectful or anything, but if you're only providing time and you're not providing anything else other than time, I feel like it's kind of hard to be able to think that you have ownership, which is why he understands why this is happening.
I see. So he's not as mutually invested, especially when it comes to the cash and the equipment being used in the business.
No, honestly, I can't even believe I didn't mention this earlier, but like how you were talking about how it's hard to get on top of your bills. But with Cameron, like, so he bought like a $29,000 car. He was paying I said that he was paying $4,400, or he got paid $4,400 a month. He walked out with $0 every single month. His bills completely ate every single dollar he made, and so now as soon as we did this, as soon as we started making our own business, making our own moves, he is no longer in debt. He already knocked off, I think, $15,000. He knocked off $19,000 on his car. He knocked off, I think he got out of like $12,000 in debt on his credit cards, whatever, something like that. I'm not even sure, but he's knocked off all this money just because of the fact that we got in this business together.
That's amazing. And in a way, then it was a lifeline because $12,000 in credit card debt at an average of probably 30% annual percentage rate interest is no freaking joke, Yeah. And, unfortunately, that is the economic reality for the middle class in America. It's just you make $4,000, even $5,000, $6,000 post-tax dollars a year. That's not enough for most people to even get by. They might be living paycheck to paycheck because, if you're making $6,000 post-tax, that's about $100,000 a year. If you're making $100,000 a year, you probably live in a high quality of living standard area, right? And so that just eats into your paycheck just as much.
I know exactly what you're saying. So no matter how much money you're making, you're still living paycheck to paycheck, except with like a higher, living style. That's funny. That is true.
Absolutely. And, to get ahead, you need a side hustle. But more importantly, just side hustling, I really think you need an opportunity to have ownership in something, opportunity to have equity. So So, if you're just door dashing or doing Uber Eats, you're basically just still exchanging time for dollars, right? Your vehicle, your time to go pick up and deliver that item, and you're just getting paid to make that delivery. And if you're a mover, or if all you're doing is delivering couches, it's kind of the same thing. You're just trading time for money. And depending on your bills, maybe that's enough to eke ahead. But if you really want value, you need to take on some risk. And where does that risk come from? It comes from buying that couch on Facebook Marketplace. You're not sure if you can make money on it, but you give it a try and you sell it, and it turns out, oh, I made $400, right? Just on the flip. So you have to have some appetite for risk if you're going to get ahead. And that applies for anything. Maybe, couches are really great. Furniture is really great because it's a relatively low amount of risk. You buy the couch, and then worst case scenario, you get stuck with the couch, and maybe, you sell it for what you bought it for, but it's not a huge amount of risk. It's like a bit of a waste of time, but you can probably sell it for something. Whereas like if the first risk you take in your life, and this is true for a lot of people, the first financial risk that they take for upside in their lives is like a house, right? And so it's like, I'm going to drop $500,000 into a house, and they've never taken real financial risk before. And, for most Americans, they look at a house as an investment, but when is that house going to be liquid? You always need a place to live. So I think for most people, it's a bad deal, but there's a whole conversation that we could have.
That's so funny because I was just talking to Riley about that. That is so crazy. But yeah, we were just going into that.
So let's talk about like some of the stuff that you have planned for the future. Like you're going to move into this much larger space. You're going to have a much bigger showroom, and you're looking to diversify the kinds of inventory that you're bringing on today. Where do you get most of your couches, like the 45 couches that you sold last month?
So I have a few people that do clean outs that are around my area. Someone in Mount Wolf. I don't know. You probably don't know where that is. But yeah, I have a few around me within like a 30-mile radius that supply me mass couches at once. They probably text me about, one of them is more on top of it, text me about like once a week. They'll hit me up with like 2-3 couches. Either way, it's still better than picking up one couch at a time. But most of my inventory does still come from Facebook, actually. Yeah, I mean, other than that, the new couches. But yeah, Facebook still prime. It's been doing me really good, and it's just honestly, it's the thing about it is that you have no cap on how much profit you can make. Like I can get a free couch. Someone thinks it's worthless. I make $1,500 on it. It's a possibility with Facebook. But whenever it comes to me getting something from Clean House, they know the value. They know I sell.
One of the limits that I see flippers hit as they're scaling their business is simply inventory acquisition, which is whole genesis of how we created the sourcing tool, right? We started talking to some flippers like, how can we help you make more money? And they came back and a lot of them said the same thing, which is if I could find more quality couches at a decent price consistently, I could make more money. It's an inventory problem. And do you feel like in your market, at least, there's sufficient inventory, there's not as maybe not too much competition, and that you're relatively able to secure what you need to fuel the current state of the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just got somehow either lucky or something because, I mean, every single time someone becomes a competitor, they either drop out. I mean, I had this dude, Jacob Raver. He's been flipping couches 3-4 years, if not 5 now, But yeah, he stayed in his garage. He started doing things on it. He's just stayed in a local area. But yeah, I outgrew him real quick. He ended up blocking me. I've never even talked to this dude before. I don't know why he blocked me, but yeah, so I haven't even seen him in a while, on Facebook or anything. Yeah, I mean, the only other competitor that we have are out in Lancaster, but I do think that with the area that I'm in, there's a lot of couches being posted for no reason. I mean, I drive up to an hour anyway, so I'll drive out to Lancaster and, I'll pick up couches from anywhere.
And how much do you think that this monopolization of your local market can be attributed to the fact that you're getting to deals first using the Ivy Flip tool?
I mean, realistically, because I know that because there's one other dude that just started that tried to do what I did in a fast period of time, but he's not have Ivy Flips. I know that. I mean, because I'm 90% sure. Yeah, I mean, it's helped me out a lot because I'll be it's not even like about my competitors at that point. It's about beating my customers, beating the people that are trying to get those free couches. But yeah, I mean, like right now I have these 3 and like the first thing I see is, I mean, it's hard to see. I think it's backwards, but first thing I see is I see power recliner and I see leather. I'm like, I click on it ASAP. And yeah, I mean, I'll get to it first 99% of the time. You know how many times I hear customers, they're like, yeah, I just posted about like 5 seconds ago. You hit me up first. I'll be like, yeah, that's how it is.
Luck of the draw, just good timing. Well, we can keep that between you and me and not in front of your customers. So So, yeah, I completely agree with you that there is much more upside for used couches compared to the other kinds of inventory that you can sell, but there's a balance, right? So, like, if you get it for free and you sell it for any amount of money, then theoretically it's like unlimited upside because you didn't pay anything for it. But there is like time and labor that you have to put into it, which does have a value, which can be quantified. The cost of the labor, the gas, tolls, insurance, whatever. So there is always a cost to doing things. But I would say on average, what I see is that used couches, you can flip for like 200 to 300% profit margins. And then liquidations, you can flip for about 100 to 150% profit. And then new couches tend to be in this 30 to 50% profit margin range. Is that consistent with like what you've seen in your business?
So I know I haven't really gone through liquidation with you, so I can't really 100% say if that is true, but I can definitely say with the used couches. So used couches are 100% highest profit. It's just how it is. You know, you can get something for free. You can flip it for even $1,000. You can get something for, $400, sell it for 1,200 easily without a doubt. But yeah, with new couches, I mean, the thing about it is that you get it shipped straight to you. That's the biggest thing. It gets straight shipped. You don't have to do any work. You can just post it. You don't even have to post all of them because you can get like 3 or 4, however many you want. So all you have to do is post one, just keep up with the post. But yeah, you're still making, I'm doing about actually 75%, 80% profit on those margin wise. So
that's really good because obviously it talks to a lot of couch flippers, many of whom have scaled up to furniture stores. And I'd say on average, you're looking at a 30 to 50% range. And so, I mean, you're doing something right if you're able to profit 75% on new couches consistently.
yeah, it is actually pretty weird because I see the same couch post on other people's stuff and they have it $100 less than me, but people are still buying it from me. So I'm just like, there's no reason not to keep it where I'm at. But they're actually pretty high quality pieces, Yeah, I mean, straight up, I buy them for 500, and yeah, I mean, I have the one listed at 995.
There you go. And you don't have to disclose your supplier unless you want to, but like tell me a little bit about the styles of couches you're buying and, are they being sourced domestically or internationally? In which case, are you going to be impacted by the tariff situation at all?
So, I mean, I'm not going to say exactly who, but at the same time, if he finds you, he'll find you. That's all I'm saying. And, but yeah, so they have a lot of different couches, 100%. I mean, they have a whole catalog. It's like, they also sell dining sets, but they're quality. I'm like surprisingly quality. And Amazon. They're cheap. They'll break within a year. And these couches, yeah, like the only thing that I have seen is that the cushions are a little more firm. Like, I don't know if you've like really seen that, but they're not even that like firm compared to Amazon, which is crazy. But I mean, I don't really know anything about like I don't really keep up with politics, but no, like they're quality pieces for how much I buy them for. And honestly, I'm not even cheaping them out. I'm not cheaping out my customers. They're buying something that is worth the value. That's the crazy part to me.
Absolutely. And, there's a quality standard and a reputation that you want to maintain. So you're not just going to flood the market with cheap products and, have bad customer experiences as a result of that. Now, are there any particular styles that are doing well for you?
Within the new or just in general?
Either or, yeah.
So, I mean, new, I haven't really had much experience with. I only have the L shape. It's like people have always been telling me, this is why I actually ended up doing this, is because they always tell me that they can't ever find an L-shaped couch that's small, that's within 100 inches on both sides. And so that's really why I got those pieces. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the L-shaped couches, but with used sets, I'm just looking for like unique sets that are high in demand. Cloud couches obviously go really quick for a high profit margin most of the time.
Okay, cool. And when you're buying new couches, do you do it by the truckload or, are they drop shipping the couches? Like, what's the setup there?
Yeah, they are truckload. This dude, I'm not really sure, but it's like a separate contractor that just ships it out to me.
Got it. And so how much do you pay for the average truckload and how many units will be on that truck?
So like I said, I have only done this twice. And the reason why I got the second one is because I started selling out instantly. Like this past month, March was insane with profit and just sales in general. But yeah, so I only bought 2 truckloads so far. First one was 3,200. Second one was maybe like 34, 35, 5 couches each.
Oh, got it. So not a full 53-foot trailer that maybe like
no. Yeah. So it's like a long, very long van. I've never seen something like that. Actually, I was really confused, but
Okay, got it. And what are your ambitions for the new furniture? How do you think that's going to scale up?
So, I mean, like I said, it takes no time, no time. So, and not only that, but they come in boxes, so they can be shipped. So that, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me is that realistically, I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, like I want these high profit margins. I want to be able to make as much profit as I can. Like, I think I mentioned Jordan Sicka. Do you remember Jordan Sicka? He only sells leather couches. Yeah, and he'll make like 3 to 4 grand on a single couch, but he's sitting on those couches for months. But I think, yeah, it has its own little, like, yeah, if you can find a 4,000 profit couch, then why not? But yeah, I mean, realistically, what I see is being able to save time and being able to mass sell couches would be the long-term goal.
Got it. So now I want to dig into the sales and marketing side. We've kind of explored the sourcing, and we did a really interesting mastermind, Ivy Industry Mastermind the other day. I don't think you made it, but Andis Surs from Comfy Living Chicago broke down his growth strategy playbook. Andis Surs from Comfy Living Chicago came on, did a guest presentation, and broke down his growth marketing playbook. And last month in March, they did over $130,000 in revenue. And the most surprising thing about it was that they didn't post anything on Facebook. They were not posting on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, or Craigslist. They're able to make all that money purely from Facebook ads, organic search, and referrals. And so for the average couch flipper, that's like, right?
Like, you're saying like Facebook ads is in just like boosting a post?
Not even boosting, but he would go into Facebook Ads Manager and create campaigns and market that to his local area in downtown Chicago. And the thing that was really, really cool about, obvious thing that's really cool about that is for most flippers, they're so dependent on Facebook Marketplace, putting up listings and those listings getting views. And I know this is something that you want to talk about before even getting on this pod is like, there's probably a depression in views happening on Facebook Marketplace and these local marketplaces. I think a lot of people are struggling with that right now. And they've been able to build a really robust business and reliable stream of sales, completely independent of listing on these local marketplaces. And the thing that stood out to me about why they're able to do that is they just really understand who their customer is. When they're setting up their campaigns, their targeting is very precise. They're looking for very specific individuals, like usually couples, young professionals. So maybe from like 25 to 40 years old, new couples are moving into an apartment together and, they make over 100 grand in income, at least between the two of them. And they want to buy sectional between $800 to $1,200, right? And so they just know their market to the T. They know, once they figured out that business model, they're rinsing and repeating. And so, they still do sell used couches. That's still a component of their business. It's a value-added service that they can provide. The fact that they can come in and remove a couch and, also resell it also keeps that item from going to the dump. But, majority of their revenue and sales is predicated on the sale of new couches. And the nice thing about new couches, as you were saying, is that it comes to you in a box. And once you sell it, if you want more of that model, you can get more. And so I think you're starting to peel back the curtain on a model that is effective for your market, which is like there's demand for this kind of L sectional that is a little bit smaller and fits more comfortably in a smaller living room or an apartment. And people can't find it out there, so you're tapping into something. And so you probably always want to keep that in stock, but that's not going to be the only model that's going to perform well for you. And so what I see with a lot of these furniture stores is that maybe they have 12 SKUs of new products, but it's really like 3 or 4 of those SKUs that are their top performers and where 80% of their revenues come from. And so that's the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the couches are generating 80% of the profits. And so there's definitely a model like that applies to every market, every furniture store. And so as you think about what's been working for you, like what kind of inventory has been successful and who's buying these different kinds of couches, like where does your mind go to?
So, right off the bat, it's all about like functionality. And I do feel like recliners are just a like key thing for me. I don't know, like I'm sure like other people had to have said it. Like recliners are insane. Like, people, they sell out really quick. People are just always into them, but really like the biggest thing for me, whenever it comes to looking for something that will create those margins or something that I know a lot of people like. And those two things is that the couch set, just a couch and love seat that both recline. Anybody is willing to get a reclining couch and love seat. Anybody. It's just, I grew up, my parents had a couch and love seat that reclined. All my family members that had a couch and love seat that reclined, but I think the sectionals are more like recent. I feel like, are they not? Are they more? Are they like they got to be more like newly relevant?
I'm not sure. I can't tell you that. I mean, to be honest, I've only been in the couch world 2.5 years, so I can't tell you what happened before then. And I definitely had no experience in furniture or couches before 2.5 years ago. But I do know that. So here's the pros and cons of that. Like, the reason why there is a couch flipping market to begin with is because, people, some guy went on Craigslist, bought a couch, listed it, made $400-$500, and then probably kept it to himself, but then like told a couple people, and the word started getting out. And then you have like a big influencer like Ryan Pineda who starts broadcasting it to the world. And then that clues people in to there's an opportunity here, right? And that happens with lots of businesses where, like someone comes up with a good concept, another person's like, oh, interesting, I can make money doing that. They study the business model and they replicate it. And so there's not a whole lot of innovation that is happening in the flipping world or even across industries, right? Innovation is kind of hard to come by. And you can flip anything and everything. You can flip jacuzzis, stoves, refrigerators, mattresses, etc. But why do people choose to stick to couches, and why do they pigeonhole themselves? Like I know couch flippers who they'll go to pick up a couch, and then, as they're leaving, the homeowner will be like, oh, I have this dining room table and I've been trying to get rid of it too. I bought it for like $4,000. Do you want it? And then the couch flipper will be like, oh man, like I don't want it. Like I tried a dining room table before and I wasn't able to sell it. Right. And it's just like, it blows my mind because they're not willing to try something new. And so part of the reason why I think sectionals are so popular in the couch flipping world and community, it's like the bread and butter. People know, like they've heard from other people, this is what you should buy. And that creates an echo chamber. And so all of a sudden they're just so laser focused on sectionals. Whereas, what we've been doing with the retailer return program, where we connect directly with retailers who have customers that want to return items and then taking those returns and then selling it to our network of couch flippers. This was like a real problem for me, starting the retailer return program at the beginning of the year, was that my network is 90% couch flippers and I'm getting returns from these retailers that are really all sorts of items. I would say 20 to 25% of the items that we're getting are actually couches. But then like 75% could be bar stools or dining room chairs or, bedroom sets, et cetera. It's all kinds of furniture. Furniture manufacturers don't just make couches. And that's for a reason, because there's a market for things other than couches. But especially at first, it's very, very hard to get couch flippers to take a dining room chair, instead of bar stools. And they're like, oh man, like I've tried it before. I can't make money on it. But, I've gotten a lot of our flippers to try them. And turns out they're making tons of money. Why? Because they're getting a brand name, like mid to high end brand return for 80 to 90% off retail. And this is not like something that's been sitting in the customer's home for 5 years and a dog peed all over it, right? It's like new because it's within a 30-day return window and it's still marketed by that brand. And so the couch flipper just has to tell their customer like, hey, you could buy this bar stool from West Elm or Joybird and you would pay $1,200 for this bar stool, or you can buy it from me and you just pay $300. And the flipper still makes like $200 on that flip, right? And so everybody wins in this ecosystem.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, it's funny because I have noticed that as well. Is that like, well, whenever I first started, I wouldn't be picking up that dining room set. But recently I've been thinking, oh, why wouldn't I? I mean, I'm already here. I'm not wasting any gas. And all I do is I don't offer free delivery unless they buy a couch. And the other thing is that whenever people come in and look at our showroom or whatever, they'll be like, oh, do you guys sell anything else? And now that we've been picking up that other stuff, we've just been making sales on the side to that go include with the couch. So there's no waste of time. There's no waste of energy. And not only that, but we're providing more value to our customers.
Absolutely. And, my point isn't that everyone should start flipping all kinds of furniture. I still think that there's unique value in couches and sectionals compared to other types of furniture that you can carry, but don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try new things and see if there are complementary items that you can stock in your showroom. And I think a good mix is probably something like 70% sofas and sectionals and 30% other items. Like there's definitely upsell and bundle opportunities there. But to go back to the original question, yeah, I can't tell you if like in terms of American furniture taste, that the couch or the sofa plus love seat combo used to be more popular compared to like the sectional. It does kind of make sense. Like the sectional does subsume or provide like roughly the same amount of surface area as couch plus love seat. I guess it just depends on the room and the configuration that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Recently, I mean, in the past, I've always seen that sectionals are more popular, but for some reason, I feel like I've been selling a lot more sets. I think it's just because it's traditional. I really don't know. It's definitely odd.
Mm-hmm. Well, it could be the market too, you know, like I don't know how to exactly describe like Lancaster and Carlisle or like Mechanicsburg to a person who's never been there. It is very unique. You know, it's like Pennsylvania Dutch, right? Pennsylvania Dutch, huge presence out there, bit of a countryside. Like it's very common that if you're like driving on like a backcountry road that all of a sudden you get stuck behind a horse and buggy.
Yeah. And not only that, but the craziest part to me is that you'll be in straight country. You go 2 miles down the block, you're in the ghetto. Like, how does that happen? Nowhere but in this area, I swear. Doesn't even make any sense.
Right. Yeah. It's like country and then hood. And then, you know, there's like some crackhead on the corner. Yeah. It's very,
Yeah. It's very unique.
I think it's just because like the economy has stagnated in a lot of these corridors across, and it's like it's what you'd get in like the Rust Belt, right? This feeling of like hopelessness that a lot of people have, and so that's a very real experience. Like I grew up around that. You know, a lot of my friends went down bad roads just because of the lack of opportunity, and so I think that's part of why I'm really passionate about trying to create those opportunities for the average American. Right? It's like I've lost friends to drug overdoses, and I know what that lifestyle is like.
Yeah. I mean, that'll definitely do it. I mean, the area definitely kind of gives you that, but
Yeah. But anyhow, just not to linger on a topic like that, but so you're saying the sofa love set combo does really well, and that this feels really traditional for you, right? Like you grew up in your house, you had it, your family, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, they all had this like sofa love set combo. What else do you think is popular or like desired in your market? Like if you had to really sit down and write down a business plan and you're going to create a marketing campaign like the Comfy Living guys, like how would you set that up? What would your targeting be?
so are you saying who am I targeting, or like what are the main kind of couches that I would get in?
Both, right? It's like, who are you targeting? And then what are you selling to that target, right?
So, I mean, the biggest people that I'm trying to target, and like 95% of my buyers are people who are looking for quick comfort, but something that can be easily cleaned, you know, and has some functionality. So the functionality right there is, you know, the recliner aspect of it, or like a chase, you know, that's where it has like that spot where you can just lay down and, you know, but you don't necessarily have to. Yeah. And then the other thing is, I mean, yeah, it's really just about being able to provide a lot within like with one thing, you know, like with one couch, you know, like that recliner couch, you don't necessarily, it fits in so many different rooms, but at the same time, you can also, you know, add like a recliner, like literally just like another recliner that even semi matches it, and they'll be interested in it. But yeah, I mean, really, I guess the biggest people that will buy my stuff are just looking for affordability and looking for somebody that can make the sale like easy, you know, make it so that you don't have to sign all this different stuff or add like, you know, like $200 just for delivery or $200 for fees. Like, you know, just average people.
Yeah. So like what I'm hearing is that your customer is prioritizing comfort and utility over maybe something like style. And so your average customer is not, you know, hiring an interior designer and redoing their entire living room space and making it like farmhouse chic or mid-century modern, but they just want something like big, comfy, you know, that's within their budget, and it has features like maybe the fabric is easy to clean, there's a sleeper, there's a recliner, maybe storage, maybe an ottoman, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I do have to say is like just today, you know, someone who was just looking for some couches, you know, their other couches were just getting messed up because dogs and like pets and kids are also like, I'm telling you, 80 to 90% of my customers have pets or kids because they're not going to buy a $4,000 couch and, you know, have their pets and kids, you know, mess it up within a year.
I see. So if you had to tell me what your average customer looks like, and it doesn't like have to like literally be how they look like, right? But that is data. That is important information. It's not.
Yeah, I know
like
what you're saying. I know what you're saying. No. I see what you're saying. I thought you were. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, realistically, so the average customer is. I mean, it's kind of hard to. explain like what they necessarily look like other than really just saying that they're like 20s to 40s. They're 20s to 40s, you know, because you're young enough to not want to make an investment to go in debt, as you can see, like Cameron with his car. But you're also not too old to where, you know, like the next couch you're going to buy is going to be there for the next 30, 40 years. You know, like 20s to 40s, you could have anything happen. You might be moving all the time, you know, that kind of stuff. So you're really just looking for an affordable purchase that will provide you comfort and also honestly make a connection with a small business. Making connection with small business owners, insane. Like, you know, because I offer moving and all that kind of stuff. It's just insane to think about. Like I have had so many people come back to me saying, "Oh, could you move this from here to here? Oh, we're actually moving. Like, what's your rates on that?" Or I had someone literally just last week buy a couch off me. "Oh, like, do you have anything else that you're selling?" Or like, "Oh, I have a pod coming this next week. We just moved from California. Can you guys come by and just move it from the pod to my house?" So yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Like I was saying, that kind of goes with functionality, but.
Absolutely. So it's like in some cases, it's like a starter couch, right? Like starter couch, they're moving into an apartment. Who knows like how long they're going to be in the area. They could move, they could get married. It's not like, you know, the 50-year-old couple or the people that are about to retire that, you know, they have their house arranged in a certain way. It's like the people who, I see. And then are there any like jobs or like interests that you think these customers have typically? This might be a hard question to answer, but if we were going to do like some persona work, right?
So the people that I've heard most about buying my couches that are willing to like talk about what they do is either other business owners because they always say, "Oh, I love supporting small businesses." The second one is hands-on people, like you know, people that do mechanic work, construction work.
Like
I don't really know
tradespeople.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
I really don't know why.
Like a blue collar American.
Exactly. It really doesn't make sense, but
So one thing I would say is like, I think people don't do this enough, right? But just to give myself as an example, I talk to 5-10 couch flippers a day, and I've been doing that every business day for 2.5 years. I really, really do understand who my customer is and, you know, what they go through. And obviously we do the pod, we do the mastermind. So there's a lot of information there. And over time, I've been able to bucket people into a couple different categories, right? Like what kind of flipper are you? And it's really worthwhile to have these deeper conversations with customers, because if you want to put up an ad campaign and you want to have really efficient targeting and you want to create a mix of products that are going to be attractive to them, you need to understand them at a deeper level. And so at first think like, oh, what's the relevance of like knowing something about their family life or knowing about what their jobs are and their everyday reality looks like. But if you want to put your marketer hat on and get really efficient at scaling and reaching your audience, then it's absolutely necessary. And I think the Comfy Living Chicago guys were a really good reminder of that. And the reason I bring this up is, you know, initially when we talked about having this conversation, what you came to me was with the issue of Facebook Marketplace and the listings not having the same performance as you're used to. And I think, you know, there is a lesson in being able to spin up an ad campaign and really get in front of your ideal customer that you could be applying here.
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I know that I've been looking into that actually, ad campaigns. I've run some Google ads. I mean, most couch flippers have a website, at least from what I've seen. But yeah, so yeah, it's definitely good to be able to learn who you're dealing with most of the time.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, we are over our hour together. It's been an absolute pleasure to connect with you. Time went by really quickly. I'm sure we could, keep shooting the shit for another 30 minutes, an hour at least. But hey, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story. I think it's, inspiring to hear about someone your age working hard, creating a future for themselves, creating opportunity for their friends, creating value for their community. So I wanted to thank you, and I hope to see you on another episode of the pod soon.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm honestly looking forward to keeping in touch with you and what you provide me. So I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. Have a great day. Ciao.
You too. Bye.